around, waving it in people's faces. See, I wasn't making it up. I'm not immature or weak or lazy. I wanted to stand up in class and yell it. Then I realized I was too scared to stand up in class and yell, not with all those girls there. So there was that. And then there was depression. Like most of the world, I had no clue what it was until I felt it. I figured depression was like another Disney World kingdom, Tomorrowland, Fantasyland, Frontierland, and Excuse Land. In Excuse Land, the most popular attraction is a bunch of beds in the dark that people lie in and whine about how they don't have the will to get up. Of course, the ghosts don't just say boo, but boo fucking who. It wasn't until I felt severe depression that I realized it was nothing like I'd imagined. I remind myself of my own former ignorance when I hear people today expressing the same stigmatizing things that I used to think. Fact, if you haven't felt depression, do not think you understand depression. Don't tell people like Brantt and me, we all go through it. We don't all go through it. You aren't stronger than me or Brantt or your wife or your kid or anyone else with depression. You haven't had it not because of your strength, but because of your luck. One of the things that hit me hardest in this book was Brandt's less than ideal upbringing. When I think of what I was given compared to what he was given, it's not surprising that his struggles to find his way were a million times tougher than mine. It was like I was born with a flashlight in my hand. I would have preferred a silver spoon in my mouth, but the flashlight was the love I received from so many who loved me unconditionally, and that allowed me to find my way out of the darkness. Brantt didn't have that. You'll learn that, and you'll sympathize with him like I did, but you'll not detect a hint of self-sympathy. He makes no excuses for his behavior. He reports it as an observer of his own life, not as a participant. It's like he's telling the story in the third person. I love that. Oh yeah, the lesson Brantt learned from the strippers I was referring to was pretty simple. The more you expose, the more effective you are. Painkiller is that strip bar that allows anything. Hide nothing, show it, shake it, write it. Dignity is a weird thing. There's no dignity in getting on stage and talking about the one time you were so hammered you got in your car naked. A Brantt story. There's enormous dignity in getting on stage and talking about a lifetime of getting hammered and getting naked in your car. The more undignified stories you tell, the more dignified you become. Self-awareness and humility are precious and the key to sobriety. This is 300 pages of dignity by volume. Brantt will show you the worst of what he's capable of, and in the end, you'll see the very best. For however long it takes you to read this book, you'll be in the company of a real man. I don't mean someone who fights for a living. I define manhood as the willingness to share your pain for someone else's benefit. That's what real men do. Real women do it too. I met Brantt in late 2011. We booked him to be a guest on the show I hosted, Off the Record. We wanted to do a show with and about NHL enforcers. 3 men who did that job had died earlier in 2011. That included a guy I loved, Wade Belak. People were, for the first time, realizing that being a fighter in the NHL was not a victimless crime. Almost everyone that has ever done the job has paid a terrible price. No one gets hurt in a hockey fight was always a stupid comment made by those who wanted to preserve the tradition. The truth is, everyone gets hurt, not always by the fight or in the fight, but because of the fight. You will never see hockey fighting the same way after reading this book. I greeted Brantt in the green room. I was shocked by what I saw. Try to imagine for a moment what the face of long-term addiction might look like. Well, this wasn't it. I don't know what I expected. I knew he'd been sober for a few years, but damn, I thought he is a good-looking man. Handsome, well-dressed, fit, with a demeanor that didn't match the look. I found him to be humble, poised, and perhaps a bit fearful. He had good reason to be afraid. Not of me. I told him I had his back and that it was my job to make him look good, and all he had to do was answer questions about his own life. How tough could that be? Painkiller will show you how tough and why he was worried. I knew a lot about what was in Brantt's head. First off, I understood his mental illness. As I told you, I've been crippled at times with anxiety and depression.